Hello and welcome to the Celtic Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Jarrod, and joining me tonight we have Sean, Liam, and John. How you all going, Sean?
Good, yeah. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Spey River from the banks. I think it might actually just be some Spey River water, judging by the colour of it. But it tastes better.
Yes, I'm good. Glad to be watching Celtic on the TV again. It's nice.
And Liam, how are you, mate?
Aye, good.
Good timing.
Quite very happy about one of the signings we made this week, which we'll be discussing shortly.
Absolutely. And me over here in Melbourne, coming to you from the lockdown capital of the world, because we've gone into our fifth lockdown. So please just give me some Celtic talk here just to keep me going, running headfirst into a wall. It's great. So I think me and John are both in lockdown. Sean, you're just
We
like,
just came out, yeah.
you guys don't get locked down. And then Liam, I don't know.
I'm hoping to God they would do a lockdown here, but they won't. 1,500 cases a day in Tokyo at the moment, and an Olympics starting on Thursday. That's going to be fun.
Brilliant.
We literally get locked down after one case. Like, literally. And what, Melbourne was, 11 cases or something? And you guys got locked down. And the UK is like 60,000 cases. And like, we should probably drop all restrictions.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just shows how different countries doing different things. But anyway, we'll discuss some football. So put up as the name of the podcast, how good is having fans back in Celtic Park again? Now,
well, they looked a bit bored yesterday. They were kind of just laying back in the sun with their feet up in the seat. They weren't really adding much to the atmosphere, but it should be much better on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's the whole thing I'm more thinking about going forward. But yeah, it's like, after how long? 18 months, 20 months, something like that. It's been a long time. The fact that there's actually Celtic fans in the stadium watching the team play, I'm finding that absolutely unbelievable. It's great to see, and long may it continue.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. No, I remember the Ross County game last year where they had the test event with 300 fans, and it looked a bit weird, but it did actually add an atmosphere to it, having just 300 in Dingwall.
We were talking about it a couple of pods ago where it's just so great having the fans back in. Like, you noticed it at the Euros, like, it makes a massive difference. So even if, like, later on we're going to discuss it going into game against Midtjylland in the qualifiers, but having 9,000 fans there, it's better than having none. So we'll talk about that in a bit later on. But what we'll do is we'll get through we'll discuss the game from yesterday. Preston North End 1, Celtic 0. I'll throw to you first, Sean, because you put a dot point on there as well about Celtic TV that you want to talk about. So I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, I got an email from Celtic TV saying that my payment had been rejected, and it was like yesterday or 2 days ago they sent me the email. So I went to watch it, and I was like, I better update my card details. Not working, taking me to some random website. So I emailed them saying, this isn't working, what should I do? And they went, don't worry about it. You just get 3 days. You get a 3-day grace period, so you can still watch the game tonight. No worries. I'm like, cool. That's it, I guess. No more games this year.
Yeah, that's your help.
Thanks for your help, Celtic TV. I guess my subscription's over, so I need to try and work that one out. That World Pay is a nightmare. And look, the actual Celtic TV feed only cut out like 3 times, so that was quite good for them.
Yeah,
having a win.
Yeah. Chris Sutton commentating was good as well.
Did you notice how the feed cut out just as Sutton was getting ripped into the Celtic board? I thought that was quite funny.
I did.
Tinfoil hats.
And it cut out just as Preston were about to. Well, it seemed like they were going to score. Put the fear in you. God, Christ, thinking you're going to come back, see the ball on the halfway line. Not good.
Yeah,
it's either Premier Sports or it's Celtic TV. It's one of the two. Somebody's taking the blame.
Yeah, well, it doesn't happen with Sky Sports. So what's going on? Like
I know. I honestly, and how many years have been going on? Well, we've been having to put up with Celtic TV. It's like something's not right, and you think they would learn the lesson, but Yeah, I don't know. I don't think any of us are really technically gifted enough to work that out, but clearly people who run Celtic TV aren't either. So
it's just an issue of money. It's money, isn't it? The more money you put at it, the more robust it is. And look, every time there's a problem with it, I email them, and the response is always, like, literally always, try a different browser. And so to the point now where when I email them, so to cut out that, so instead of having to email them twice, the first email I send is, I tried 3 different browsers and
it has still not worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I don't think they care about us, to be honest. Anyone who's not based in the UK and Ireland, there's money grabbing.
Yeah, I had issues with them last year. In fact, same issue as you, Sean. Actually, I had to change my credit card because somebody had hacked into my account, and I had to change my account details for security. Mm-hmm. So bank sends me a new account, a new card, whatever. I say to Celtic, look, I need to change my account number, and they're like, okay, so just do this. And again, I go to that site, complete nightmare, can't get through anything. Enter a password, enter the password, rejects it every time. Enter your address, rejects it every time. After about an hour, they said, just create another account then.
That's what I've done in the past. Yeah, that's literally what I've had to do in the past.
It's ridiculous, honest to God. I mean, especially now if we're branching out into more international audiences like Australia, like Japan, mm-hmm. Consumers aren't going to have the patience for this kind of stuff, They really aren't, especially when, particularly in Japan, service standards generally are so high,
Mm-hmm. But hopefully it's part of Dominic Mackay's modernisation of Celtic that he's talking about, that we actually get a decent website and a decent online service and, stuff like that.
Yes, fingers crossed, eh? That's the plan, at least, or at least that's the expectation of all of us. Better service there.
They've somewhat fixed the commentary. Like, as much as I quite liked Tom Boyd, it was also a bit amateur. So now having Chris Sutton and Jerry McCulloch is quite good,
Yeah, I agree. But then
that's all it is, guys. It's like overall production. If you're going to be paying money, like the equivalent of $30 a month or whatever it is for it, then I'm going to want something back in return. I'm going to want, whether it's, like you said, they fixed the commentary. Great. Now the next thing is fix the performance issues, change the servo, get more depth to it, fix the technical side so it doesn't drop out. Because I used to have Celtic TV. I don't have it at the moment because of that exact issue. It frustrates me. I miss chunks of the game. I'd rather go through the other setup that I've got going on at the moment that the guys over in Kuala Lumpur CSC put me onto. Legends, good shout out. But
you're being a snitch here. Snitching on them.
Not giving them a shout out. I haven't told what it is, so all good.
Just for people who don't know, if you're overseas and you have a Celtic TV subscription, it's about £21 or £22 a month. So that's you're saying $30, Jarrod, but it's actually more than that. It's about 38, 36, something like that. So
that's what it was last time I had it. So that's why I just went with that number.
21, £22 a month. It went up last year.
Mental.
Compare that to my sports channel subscription package, right? Which I pay about, it's 3,000 yen, which is about 16, 17 quid a month, give or take, right? Can be as high as 20 quid, depending on what stupid thing Boris has said this week to crash the pound. But anyway, that covers every single English Premier League game live, several with the option of English commentary, the Italian League, almost every game live, Spanish League, almost every game live, selected games from Turkey, Germany, France, Belgium, and of course, every J-League game live. And that's just the football. They've got basketball, baseball, NFL, all kinds of other stuff as well. And I'm paying more for Celtic, just for Celtic, than I am for all this other stuff. And of course, the production values are vastly superior to Celtic TV as well,
Yeah, I'm £14 a month for my other one, which is NFL, AFL, like Wimbledon, like basically everything is on there. Apart, and even the Celtic away games are on there. But I pay £22 a month so I can get the Celtic home games and You know,
They're banking on the heartstrings. That's all it is. They're saying, "Oh, it's Celtic. I'm going to pay a bit extra because that's my club. I want to see them." That's what they're banking on at the end of the day. So, fingers crossed that they fix that all up soon enough and makes it a bit better for us. But going back into the game, anything you guys want to single out, Sean, from the game, or John or Liam?
I took a few notes. Yeah, particularly we didn't look good defensively. I kind of was getting a bit tired towards the end, but definitely in the first half, we looked pretty shaky. Urugide, he looked keen, but he also looked uncomposed, like he didn't have really the mental aspects of the game right. He was just kind of going for everything, which was, I don't know how to describe it really. I thought Welsh was, even though Urugide looked more likely to win a ball, Welsh looked better in terms of his position and composure. And one person that's really stood out for me in all the preseason games that I'd like to see get a chance is Dane Murray. And if he's not going to get a chance, I'd like to see him go to like someone like Dundee and play every week in the SPFL, because he's looked brilliant, to be honest. I think he's actually looked better than Welsh or Urugide. So I've actually quite impressed with him. I think Preston were unlucky to not get a penalty early. It was quite unusual to see Barkas make a good save. We looked really, really vulnerable at set pieces and open play in the air. There was one where Ched Evans got a free header, and it was like all he did was just walked into the box in between the centre back and the right back, and they were just kind of looking around, not knowing who their man was, kind of thing, like whose responsibility that is to move to him. And I thought Moffat getting put in right wing, I thought he looked poor. Even giving him a kind of dispensation, I thought he showed really poor instincts in and around the box. Like that's really not his position. Like he's more of a kind of attacking centre mid or a kind of deeper starting right mid. Like I don't know. He looked like he had poor instincts in and around the box. Maybe that's just something that comes with experience, to be honest.
We've got a comment here, Sean, and I agree with this guy. Paul McGinley's commented Montgomery was his man of the match, and for me, it's the guy that is really. I'm the one looking at going, I want to see Monty get a good chance this season. I want to see him establish himself. I think if he's playing well at left back, and then you've got Taylor there, for instance, then even though Monty was playing further forward, well, in that game, if he's an option, could save the club some money, and then we can go and get a quality right back that we need.
Yeah, he's a funny one, Montgomery, because like it's hard to tell whether he's actually a left back or a left winger. Like he looks like he can do both equally.
Yeah, he was a forward who's been converted back into it when he was about 18 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I like the look at him, and I like the look of Liam Shaw in the earlier games, but he wasn't great yesterday, to be honest. Turnbull was good. Ayeti was isolated, but yeah, Montgomery, I agree with Paul, was the man of the match, the best Celtic player anyway. You might give man of the match to a Preston player, to be honest.
Yes, I agree with Sean on his analysis. I think. I also think that it's probably fair to say that there was really two teams there, wasn't there? There was the ones that we'd all expect are the first team players, and then there's maybe those that will probably play for Celtic B or might be in and around the bench and stuff. So you can probably Urugide might be there, might be on the bench, might play for the B team. I'd like to see someone like Montgomery. I also think Moffat played well in all of the friendlies overall, although probably yesterday at Preston not great. But yeah, I think we need another striker. I agree that Ayeti was isolated, but we're desperate for another forward, really. I mean a centre forward, not like a winger. But I don't think he's the answer yet. I think he could become good for us, but right now we just need someone to come in straight away. I also think it's probably fair to say like they're friendlies, right? So let's not like analyze them too much. They're kind of not really. They're mostly about fitness and getting younger kids a run out. So yeah, I think everything with a bit of a pinch of salt. But I enjoyed watching Celtic again, to be honest.
It's funny you say that, John, because I had a bit of a punch on with someone in our group on our Facebook group today about that it's a preseason friendly and that. So yeah, I saw a post and I'm like, I don't want to approve this, but I'm going to slap him back in his position here. Get back there, mate.
I just think some people are definitely just spitting the dummy already. Do you know what I mean? And like over analyzing Ange's mentality and his body behaviors and stuff about, he looks dead sad there or dead sour. It's like, Christ almighty, he's probably just working out what his best formation is. Like, everyone's over analyzing playing out from the back. Let's be honest. Playing out from the back is what every modern football team's done across Europe. And when you do it right, it's done very well. It's the best in the world, right? So we should be trying to be doing that. And once we get that sorted and get that right with the right type of people, it will work really well for us. High press is the way you beat it, but you work out how to get around the high press, and it'll work out. It's pre-season friendlies.
I'll throw to you, Liam, but I just want to chuck something in before you do, because you've seen his teams over at Yokohama. That's why I'm throw to you. But they press hard. We've got the wingers come in with Abada and the new guy that we're going to talk about later from over your neck of the woods. But wingers / guys who can play forwards, that's great. We've got the midfield. We probably need another striker, but the biggest concern is the back line. We need centre-backs. We need a quality right back and then probably a backup right back. So we need at least 4 players across that back line. So people saying about playing out from the back, like complaining about, it didn't look great. It's pre-season, guys are just getting minutes in the legs, getting through it. When we sign some players and they come in, fine, it'll all pick up. But I want to throw to you, Liam, and see what your thoughts were on it.
Well, just to pick you up on that particular post that we were discussing, I don't know if you saw my response to it, but I said, I could go through everything that's wrong with this, but my doctor says I've probably only got about 50 or 60 years to live, so life's too short. The thing about Ange's team at Yokohama, I mean, particularly when I saw them live when they played Man City, which again was a pre-season friendly, but Yokohama took it very seriously because there was the honour of playing against, one of the best teams in Europe at the time. And although they lost 3-1, Yokohama controlled much of the play. And that was because of Ange's adaptation, right? City went 2-0 up quite early on in that game. And then the tactics changed. And there was a greater emphasis on wide play. I think they switched from a back 2 to a back 3. And it really changed the game because from that point on, Yokohama started to dictate the pace of the game. They got a goal back, and in the end they were pushing for an equaliser when City went and snatched a third one. But after the game, I think Guardiola himself said that's one of the best teams we've faced in a while, and respect to them, And that is something that our new manager brings, which, no disrespect to him, I think our previous 2 managers, both Rodgers and Lennon, have struggled with, which is adaptability. And Ange is not going to be afraid to change it up if it's not working. And yesterday was an experiment, as are all pre-season friendlies. It was an experiment which ultimately yesterday didn't work. So I expect to see a very different composition of team on Tuesday night against Midtjylland, and probably a completely different system again for next week's friendly against West Ham, where we're going to try something else. The priority for this season is taking back our league title from the Huns. So as long as we can get into a position where we know what team we're playing by July 31st, I'll be happy.
And that's the thing. People were talking last week saying, there's 7 days to our first Champions League qualifier. Yeah, but there's still, or 8 days or whatever. Yeah, but there's still 7 or 8 weeks left of the transfer window. I understand people want some urgency because of our Champions League, but this is Celtic we're talking about. Do we ever do our business early? No. So I would like them to do the business early, but we don't. So we'll get there.
Yeah. See, just one more thing to highlight for anyone that didn't see the preseason games. The thing that will stand out to you immediately is how high the goalkeeper is. I think that game against Preston yesterday is the first time I've ever seen a goalkeeper take possession in the opposition half in the first half of a game.
It was weird.
It was 0-0 in the first half, like 30 minutes in, and Barkas is taking possession in the other half of the because I remember the Charlton, I think it was the Charlton game, and he was taking possession in the centre circle, and I was like, oh my god, he's so high, he's in the centre circle, and then I'm like, oh no, he's outdone himself now, he's literally in the other half. And it's the thing that Dyla did, where the centre back split and Scott Brown used to come in, and it drove me nuts. But now, instead of having Scott Brown dropping in, they've got Barkas dropping up, pulling up into the space. It's the same thing that all modern managers do.
It's like a
Split the
sweeper.
centre back.
It's like a sweeper keeper, but he's actually it's a ball player. Yeah,
we'll get caught out for him doing that.
Yeah, we will. There'll be 3 goals or something this year. Like
just chipping over.
Yeah, it's going to put shits up people, but I'm just saying, if you haven't seen it already, that's coming. That's happening.
Let's just say the top 3 goals of the season will probably be whoever gets the ball and just chips it in over the top of him from his own half. That'll be your top 3, and it'll be who did it at Aberdeen when it's nice and windy.
Yeah, and the wind just takes it. Yeah, I think the only other things I think I'd mention about the preseason games were I don't think we have seen our first team play together yet. I think that's a given, right? I think it's always been a mixture between first team players and boys basically. And I hope everyone else agrees with me here, but I personally just think Ralston is so far off it. I don't even think he should be anywhere near Celtic at the moment. Like, I understand we had to give him a contract extension, right? It was a necessity. But see, the second we get a couple of right backs in, I think he's done at Celtic. He's so far off even the reserves that have been playing with him. They're miles ahead to him. He needs to be gone, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's got a new contract. Maybe we can loan him out to Sunderland.
He's a nice segue. Perfect. We'll discuss that one. So we're going to go through some rumoured transfers. But before we start on that, what we want to do, just for a bit of interactivity with people tuning in, if you've got any topics you want us to discuss or any questions you want us to answer, break up the podcast a bit, please let us know in the comments and we'll do our best to get to them, okay? So rumoured transfers, we'll start off there. Lee Griffiths to Sunderland on loan. Is anyone going to say that's not a good move for us? Get him out of wage bill?
If they're paying like 80% or more of his salary, then yep, cheerio. I'm assuming that we don't really have solid ground to just terminate his contract, and that's why they're looking to do that. And that's fine.
It'll be the same with Bolingoli last year. There was no grounds to terminate him, so send him on loan, push him out the door. So, yeah.
Yep. And I think that's important that we all shouldn't speculate on somebody's criminality, but he's been found. The no criminality has been found, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't morally screwed up. So I don't think Celtic wants him anywhere near the team or the business, the badge, and just wants to ship him.
How many last chances can you have?
Yeah, exactly. He's had so many. We've given him such a benefit of the doubt. We've always stuck behind him, and this is just too much. This is enough, and it's deplorable. But he just needs to go, to be honest. And if this is the best way of doing that, then that's what should happen.
The harsh reality of it is, and I mentioned this to Jarrod the other night on the show, he's been found no criminality, so he's been found innocent. Let's make that clear. He's not committed a criminal offence. But his behaviour has been, at best, questionable. In terms of how a professional footballer and a family man should conduct himself. And the reality is, guilty or innocent, rival supporters are going to be shouting pedo at him every game we play this season, regardless. So I think it's better he's not here, for him and for us, to be quite honest.
I read a link from a Sunderland fan blog. I think it's the 72, I think it was called. And they were talking, they were speculating on it, and they literally did not once mention his off-field behaviour. It was just, he's done this, he scored this many goals, he's on this form at this, and do you know what I mean? They didn't talk about coming last pre-season, didn't talk about the inappropriate behaviour, none of that. Like, it was very weird to see that perspective.
Well, if you think about it, where did the story come from? It was Scottish Twitter, Daily Record and the Scottish Sun. I'm guessing the average Sunderland supporter knows bugger all about any of those. So,
Yeah, but quick Googling, I guess, and it's not just the recent events, you'd be able to find Griffith's character in multiple different historical news events, wouldn't you? Like there's lots of stuff that goes beyond what's happening recently. Maybe that just shows where Sunderland is right now, that they're not focused on any of that and they just need the professional rather than the person.
Have you guys watched Sunderland Till I Die at all on Amazon or Netflix or whatever it's on?
A while ago, yeah.
If you've watched that club is an absolute shambles.
It's a mess, yeah.
It's a mess. They're going through so much. It's crazy, right? So if he was to go there, he'd blend right in from what I've seen on there. So I have no concerns. He can go there. He can go hang out. I think it's Wearside, if my memory is right. He can head over there. He can do what he needs to do. And just a little positive for him is at least he's not going to be wearing hoops. He'll be wearing stripes, which is, as a bigger guy, stripes is more thinning compared to hoops. that weight off season, you can hide it nicely.
Yeah.
I've got your back on that front only.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's. I think we've said this. We've given him one too many last chances. So that's that. And I think if this had happened slightly differently circumstances, we would have just sold him to someone like Sunderland rather than having to loan him. But it happened to be that the events that we gave him the contract, he signed it, and then this happened. So yeah, I think the best thing for him is to get away from Celtic and Glasgow, to be honest.
K999, nice message there, mate. We get comments from you every week through the Podbean thing for the podcast. So thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate it. And yeah, I agree with you what you're saying there. He can go
100%.
All right. So next one we've got on the list is Chris Ide of Brentford, 13.5 million plus add-ons. John, you discussed this on your latest The Other Guys podcast with a guy from the USA.
Yep.
I'll throw to you first. Get your take on it.
I think we should snatch at that. I think that's an absolutely brilliant fee, to be honest. I think for a very talented player for 1 year left on his contract, I think anything above, probably I said 10, but anything around about 10 to 15, I think we should just take in a heartbeat. I think Jeremy, the guy that I was interviewing the other week, agreed. Very talented player, has his faults, but probably will do quite well in the Premier League, I think. I don't think, why would we? I mean, I thought it was mad that we rejected. What was the previous offer from Brentford? Was it 11.5 or 12? Yeah, 12. Christ almighty, 12 plus add-ons that probably add up to 15. Fantastic. And I think if we could squeeze them out for $1.5 million or $1.25 million, then I think that's good business. And I think we should just say thanks very much, Aya. You've served us well over the 4 or 5 years, whatever it is. All the best. Good luck.
Should we talk about how he was being tapped up by Leverkusen?
Was he? Go on, yeah.
Did you not see this? No.
Nah.
It was actually reported on BBC and everything. Like Leverkusen were apparently furious because he'd basically agreed to force through a move to Leverkusen, and now that he's agreed to join Brentford, Leverkusen are shitty about it. And I'm like, wait, he's under contract to us. He can't be, he shouldn't be talking to other teams without Celtic's permission. That's tapping
for sure.
Yeah. And it was literally reported as, and I was like, wait, this makes a lot more sense now why Celtic were playing hardball. But Leverkusen are obviously lowballing because they know the players try to force a move through there. And that's why it's saying in the media that Ayer's shitty at Celtic. And it's like, yeah, because they're probably saying to him, well, we don't give a shit if you've got some sort of background agreement with Leverkusen, we're not accepting a low ball offer.
That makes sense. That makes way more sense. Yeah.
And that's to me, that's the first tick against Dominic Mackay's name that he did that he's held out against Leverkusen and stood up to them.
I think Brentford's a weird place to go, though. That's the only thing. I mean, they're fighting to not get relegated next season. Let's be honest, right? I think Leverkusen's a better move for Ayer, but there you go.
Oh yeah, look, he's going to struggle, and he'll struggle in any team where he is not on the front foot. He's not. If you put Ayer into Barcelona or Porto or any team that's always attacking, he's going to look like one of the best defenders in the world. You know what I mean? Like in that team, But if you stick him into some team that's just backs to the wall for the whole game, that's the sort of game where you want Shane Duffy, not Chris Ayer.
For sure, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, well, me and Liam on the last pod were talking about getting the money in. If you got $13.5 million or whatever it is for him, and then you were to use that to rebuild your whole back line, perfect. So I think that must be what we're looking at, because clearly if we haven't brought in anyone yet, looks like we're probably looking for money in before money goes out, which, you should speculate to accumulate. That money's going to come in. But the other thing we're talking about was that I think going to Brentford's a bit of a bad move, because I can see him going to Brentford and then in 12 to 18 months he's looking for a move to, say, an Everton or West Ham sort of level, and that's what we were discussing on our last podcast. So, yeah, it's a bit of a strange move, but if the money's right, see you later.
To be honest, if I was a Brentford fan, I wouldn't be too happy with it, though, because it's patently obvious he's using them as a stepping stone.
Yeah, but all modern players do that, though. Let's be honest. The only destination clubs ever left are what? Man United, Man City, Barcelona, Real Madrid. That's it. Every single player in the world wants to end up there. So every club for them is a stepping stone. But look, I know what you mean, though, right? He's clearly going to, if he does well one season, he's looking to be offloaded to like Leicester, right? So he wants one good season, get out as quickly as possible. But, hopefully Brentford fans, I hope Celtic fans are the same. We recognise that, you can only have these very talented players for a couple of years, and then they normally, if they're good, they move on to something, a bigger league, a better league.
I'm just always wary of signing any player who has down tools with his previous club for whatever reason. And Ayer hasn't down tools, but looks like he's threatening to,
He's got a right to, though, in this sense. If the rumours are true and we've promised him that stick around for a year, and then we'll sell you, and then we were to rescind that, I would be pissed as well. I mean, I'd still, like any job, everyone's annoyed at their workplace at some point. So you still turn up and do your job, which is what I'd expect from him. But I'd be pissed as well.
Aye, but I'll finish by reiterating what I said the other day, and I think Jarrod agrees with me, is that in the current market, that is a huge amount of money to get for a player like Ayer, who, I like the guy, wholehearted big guy, but I think he might well get found out at EPL level. So I think we're doing well to get that money.
I think he's better off on the continent. Like if he was to go play, say, in the Serie A or even in the Bundesliga or something like that, he'd probably be better off over in that league than in England. I think the step up there may be a step too much for him, but if I'm proven wrong, great, because as long as we get a sell-on fee onto him and he goes there and does well, we could get a bit extra cash out of it again in 12, 18 months' time.
Yep. I mean, that's Celtic's business model of recent. I think he'll do okay in the Premier League. I think there's a lot more mediocre defenders and players in the English league than Ayer, to be honest.
I'll contradict myself though, John. If Ryan Shawcross can make a career for himself in the English Premier League at Stoke, any defender can.
Exactly. I mean, who is better when they play together, Duffy or Ayer?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I think Ayer will be okay. I don't think he's going to light it up.
Duffy's a respected Premier League centre back. So.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Ayer's gonna change defending in the English Premier League, but I think he'll do fine. I think he'll probably reach slightly above mediocre teams, and then that'll be him, which is good. It's a paycheck for him, I guess.
Yeah. So there was an interesting transfer rumour in the Scottish Sun, and I looked at it and thought, what the heck is this? So we got to discuss it. Saudi Arabian super club Al Hilal apparently are wanting Ryan Christie. Your thoughts, Liam?
Well, first of all, I hope you've thoroughly washed and disinfected yourself after reading The Sun. No, the thing is, there's a lot of money going into Saudi football just now. It's a bit like China in that sense. It's not quite as cash rich as the Chinese league is at the moment, but a lot of rich Saudis with a lot of money to throw about, and if they are willing to come in with a decent offer for Christie, I say, yeah. I mean, he's basically saying ta-ta to his top flight career, because obviously he'll never play in the Champions League if he's playing in Saudi Arabia. But no, that is a developing area of world football at the moment. It'll be an interesting one. I just hope he doesn't like drinking or shagging around, because he won't get to do any of that in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I'm sure he won't be thinking about the Champions League when he's wanking himself to sleep on a giant pile of cash. like honestly, would you even think, would any professional player from the Scottish League even think about going to Saudi Arabia unless you're getting stupid money and the manager is Leonardo Jardim rather than Mohammed Al Mohammed? Do you know what I mean? Like if it's some Saudi guy, you'd be like, no, fuck that. And if you're not getting stupid amounts of cash, you're like, nope. So when you combine those two things together, that's I think that's a legitimate rumor.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to disrespect anybody from Saudi Arabia who might be listening, but even as an English teacher, I see jobs coming up in Saudi Arabia all the time, and the pay is about double what you get for your average teaching job here in Japan, and I still wouldn't touch it, because it's just such a socially restrictive society that I couldn't live there, and I wouldn't feel comfortable there. And I think any young guy who likes doing what most young guys like doing in terms of partying and whatever, it's a bad move. and
it's a good move if you like to travel.
Yeah,
you don't go there for the young Scottish lifestyle. You go there. The reason you take all that money is so you can go traveling while you're not working. Like you can even go for fly over to Qatar for the weekend, or do you know what I mean? Like it's constant, because I worked in Qatar for 2 years, and that's what you do. Like you just always where am I going next? Where am I going next? Where am I going next? Do you know what I mean? Like that's the idea of it. Yeah, there's not too much to do there, but everyone else is in the same kind of boat of, I'm taking this money and I'm going to travel, or I'm saving it for going back and buying a house or whatever.
It'd make more sense for a player to end their career in somewhere like, if the Saudi League is as rich as like China or the MLS, right? I couldn't see someone who's trying to take a move, in their opinion, as a step up, and then going to Saudi Arabia. That just doesn't make you'll get lost there. Like nobody's scouting Saudi Arabia for the next talent. What happened to the Monaco stuff? Is that all fizzled out then?
Who knows? There's no money in French football anymore. They've lost their TV deal.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
Everyone's trying to sell, so they think they've all got to sell before they can buy or make him an offer.
I can't see Christie going to a Saudi Arabian team. I think it's more likely to happen is he'll run his 6 months out and he'll sign for free somewhere else.
Yeah.
If Rogic isn't going to go to the UAE this time last year, then why would Christie go there?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've just Googled it now, and the highest paid player at Al Hilal is Sebastian Giovinco on £155,000 a week.
Wow. He'd be signing to replace.
And he's 33. Mm-hmm. And Bafembe Gomez, do you remember him? You think he was Swansea?
Yes. Like a lion.
Sorry?
The guy who celebrates like a lion.
Yeah. £123,000 a week.
Oh, maybe he would go to the Saudi League for that type of money. Yeah, wow.
And then there's a couple of no names I've never even heard of. Vieto from Argentina and Carrillo from Peru. They're on 84 and 64,000 a week. And then everyone else is between 10 and 20,000. Even like Saudi no names. Alao Al-Biai is on £18,000 a week. And look, Christie's on £6,000 a week at Celtic. So if you're looking at that, you would guess they're offering him probably 40,000, something like that.
Yeah,
because he's got to be higher.
Times his wages by 10, I reckon.
Well, he's on 6,000 at Celtic, I think. Is that right?
Massively underpaid for what he should be on compared to his position, but that's another story.
Well, I mean, we could offer him a better contract for sure. Like, do we need a Christie right now? Probably.
A quality player in that position.
Yeah, it would.
Day of the week over him.
I'd probably still want Christie in and around the Celtic squad, even if it wasn't every single week he was playing. Just the experience he has and stuff. Knowing Celtic, 6,000 is probably too little to pay him though. If he's getting paid anywhere north of 20, 30k a week, yeah, that makes sense. His careers are short, right? So go make as much money as you can. But I mean, he's not going to get. I mean, Celtic's going to be his height. To be honest, you can't go to a Saudi team and expect to move on to a big. You're not going to go from a Saudi team to Man United, are you? Yeah. Or Man City.
Talking about soccer players, you look at them. They go Europe, Middle East, then they'll go to China or South Korea. Then they'll come back to the A-League, and then their careers are over. So if that's how the Australian player model goes, if you've got a guy like Christie going from Scotland to the Middle East, where's he going to go after that? Is he going to go to China or Japan or South Korea, or is he going to head home and play for someone like Aberdeen or, third through to fifth, sixth, seventh on the ladder? Maybe. Yeah, it's a strange move. But, if he's going to be Scrooge McDuckin with all his money, then so be it.
Which a lot of players are nowadays. That's the shame of it.
And no, we shouldn't. No, you shouldn't shame them, John. Like you can't.
No, okay, not shame. It's a shame that they choose to do that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Short career, they want to make.
No, it's definitely not a shame. It's shame for us. We're the ones losing. It's brilliant for them. We shouldn't shame them for that.
I think accolades are more important than.
No, it's easy to say that as a fan.
It is, of course, it is. Yeah.
I honestly, I don't agree with you. Like, I know, I get what you're saying, and players would rather have both, but I don't think we should shame them. It's a short career. You're retired by your mid-30s. You need to make bank while you can, and we shouldn't shame players.
Totally get that. I totally agree with that. Yeah, they should try and make as much money as they can, as quickly as possible, and then try and extend their career on beyond that. I do think though that the money comes with the success. And the money comes from winning accolades, and that should be a focus of any young player, rather than just going for money and ego.
Hey guys, the communist of our podcast is ready to jump in here with Liam.
All right,
go on, Liam.
I was just going to say, the problem isn't the players. The problem is capitalism, because people make stupid amounts of money for offering very little back to society in return, and
yes, Comrade,
you can't blame a decent but hardly world class player like Ryan Christie for making the most of like you say, a limited career. The problem is the system that allows a guy like that to make potentially $100,000 a week. While in Qatar something like 3,000 labourers have died in the last few years building stadiums for a World Cup that nobody seems to want except the Prince of Qatar.
I'm going to push back on that. I live there, man, and this reporting is really disingenuous about the 3,000 deaths thing. Do you know what they die from?
Old age.
Well, I've read. I'm ready to be corrected on this, but from what I've read, it was due to lack of access to water and having to work excessively long hours in high temperature environments.
Yeah, and that is what it is. Yes, but what it gets reported as is like carelessness and poor standards and things like that. And it's not. You're right. That's what it is. It's people get heart attacks from and it's not lack of water, but it is the heat. People get heart attacks from the heat. They make it illegal to work during the day in the summer, And you're right, they should be doing more, but they're not dying from carelessness. They are just dying from these guys want to be working, they want to be like these guys are they come over as they come over and do unskilled labor on building sites, whereas like in their home country they might be like a plumber or something like that, but they're like 5-10 times the money to do that.
I'm sure because it'd be danger money essentially. It's the same as guys that work the oil rigs or whatever. You get paid a lot more because you're in a dangerous situation, right?
But it's not. The money's still shit. It's just the money in their homeland is even super shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, 'Cause it's all people from like Bangladesh.
But then, all right. So I understand what you're saying. It's an occupational hazard, right? But if you were to say that the World Cup's going to be in Australia, it's going to be based in, I don't know, the Simpson Desert in South Australia, right? And it turned out there was 3,000 deaths because of the heat exhaustion of the workers. That'd be an absolute outrage, and it would be, and every single project manager and foreman would be expected to do a risk assessment, which mitigated any of those risks involved with heat not working. I mean, I know you were saying they don't work during the summer in the highest heat, but you would, having to take water breaks every hour or 45 minutes, however long it is, and stuff, and. So, it's still...
These are definitely fair and valid points, guys. I'm just saying that the reporting on it is disingenuous at times.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah.
I would concede that, yeah. I mean, again, my issue is not necessarily with the Qatari government or the Qatari side of the organisation. My issue is with FIFA for allowing a World Cup to take place in a place that's obviously not equipped in terms of climate to have a World Cup. It's just it's dangerous to host an event there.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Liam.
Okay.
Off the back of that, are you going to watch the World Cup from Qatar?
Yeah.
Or are you going to protest it?
No. I'll watch it. I'm not saying that I'm not going to watch it. I'm not one of these. Look, as I say, the problem is with FIFA. The problem is with the financial guys that run the entire game globally, that allow stupid amounts of money to be spent, and they allow countries that are not, for sometimes by no fault of their own, are not properly equipped to host a major tournament, purely because they are rich. And that's wrong.
FIFA corruption.
So what I'm going to do there is, we've gone off on a nice, crazy big tangent here.
Sorry, my fault.
Where was this on the run sheet? I can't find it on the run sheet.
I'm like, I can't see this on the run sheet, and I've just seen a comment come up from Paul McGinley, and it actually ties into the next two topics we had on the run sheet. So the question was, do you guys know the latest on Starfelt? Would you be open to Fraser Forster back at Parkhead in goals? So apparently, Starfelt, Ruben Kazan, 4.25 million. Medical's been done in Moscow. So that's the latest that we're hearing on that. Apparently, it's still on the go, but hasn't been done yet. So I'm not sure whether there was an issue with the medical or whether there was an issue with work, not getting a work permit, but getting in.
Work permit, because he's European, so his work permit is a thing now.
Yeah, he hasn't played a lot of international football recently, so that could be there. And then you've got Fraser Forster back on loan again. Bingo. So it'll be his signing for the club if that happened. So that's, The question that Paul had as well was, he's saying no to Fraser Forster because he would go with Barkas and Hazard. So first of all, I want to get your take on Fraser Forster. Just a simple one-word answer, yes or no, when we go around the room. And then we'll go around a second time with why. So, Sean?
No.
Johnny?
Yes.
Liam?
Qualified, no.
And me, it's a no. So over to you, Sean.
Yep. I'm quite interested to hear John's reasoning. And look, I was last year, I would have pissed on my gran to get Fraser Forster back. I am an absolute, I love the guy. He's a legend. He's brilliant, so talented. But the system we're playing, seeing Barkas take possession in the centre circle in opposition's half, Fraser Forster cannot do that.
Johnny?
Look, to be honest, I'm a secret no. But I think the only reason I would take him right now is that he's better than anything else we have in goal. And I think that is probably just a reality of the situation we're in. I think Barkas could come really good for us soon, but I'm still yet to be 100% convinced that he's worth, taking the number 1 jersey. So I don't think it's ever going to happen, by the way. And I just think it's complete and utter rubbish that's been spread in the media. But if it was on the table and it was I wouldn't be fussed. I wouldn't be outraged or annoyed that he was coming in. I think he's better than what we've got just now. That's it. Secret no, but I think he's better than what we have.
Liam?
So I said a qualified no. So no on the basis that we're going to sign somebody better. Because, like you say, I think that on the top of his game, Fraser Forster is a better keeper than any of the keepers we currently have. But I would hope that signing a goalkeeper is one of the priorities for signing now once we've filled in the obvious gaps in defence and we've got a centre forward in. But, you know, I don't think Fraser Forster's the answer, because I just think his time has come and gone, and he did really well for us, and I wouldn't want anything to happen that would tarnish that great memory that we have of what he did for us in his 2 spells. I think that it very rarely works when somebody returns to a club, and it almost never works if they've returned twice. I think that a lot of Celtic's deficiencies last season were not particularly down to the goalkeeper. Now, Barkas, I don't think he looked like a particularly commanding presence last season. I don't think he inspired a lot of confidence in his defence. But I don't really remember him making any glaring, errors that cost us a match. We can clearly say that was a goalkeeper that cost us the game there. Sharp intake of breath from Sean there. I'm going to get torpedoed in a minute, but I'm going to keep going. No, I just think that Barkas has the potential to be a number one, and he showed it with 2 very good saves yesterday. And I would hope that would continue. I think look forward, don't look back. And as much as we love the guy, Fraser Forster is looking back.
So I said no for 2 reasons. The first reason is similar to what I think Sean said before, either Sean or John, that he doesn't really fit the way Ange plays. I don't see Forster out there with the ball at his feet, being mobile enough to run up to the halfway circle and get back and do that sort of side of it. The other thing is I think it would be the issue Barkas had last season more than anything else, in my opinion, was that he was constantly compared to the guy who was in goals before him. So if Fraser Forster was in goals before, and then you were to have Barkas but then bring Forster back now, that's basically saying Barkas has been written off. It's a waste of £5 million. Basically, there's no point having him at the club. So if we do find someone long-term, great. But at the same time, if it's not going to be Barkas, I want to see Hazard given his chance as well. I think Forster's time's come and gone.
I think that's fair. I think that's probably what I'd reserve too as well. I think Barkas should be given this year, to be honest, and see where he's at. I don't disagree with anything anybody said. I think it's just Forster's probably better than what we have just now, right now. Not Barkas's potential, but for the here and now. But I do think it's going backwards, and I'd much rather just give Barkas a chance.
Now, Sean, did you want to say something to what Liam said before, or do you just want to let it go?
There's a couple of flaps last season, wasn't it?
I'll go with the 2-0 game that Rangers Sevco won at Celtic Park as my, and that's it. I'll leave it there.
As my example, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So on to some positive news quickly. Lil Abada from Maccabi Petah Tikva, 3.5 million on a 5-year deal. Played yesterday. What was everyone's take? What did you think of him from what you saw yesterday?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think he looked good. I think he looked really positive. Obviously very attack-minded. God, I wish that shot that he had went in, because it was half a bloody chance, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm really excited about that signing. And at 19 as well. Christ.
He's a well-developed 19-year-old.
He really is. Yeah.
He looked like he hit puberty at 10.
He does that, yeah. He looks like he's 29. But yeah, no, I and I think one of the other things I've noticed about this transfer window is, and maybe it's just been every transfer window for Celtic, but a lot of these players that we've actually signed have never really been rumoured until it's kind of already done anyway. Like I hadn't heard about Abada at all until he was through the door almost. But yeah, no, I think that's and we needed wingers. Let's be honest, especially with Forrest out now as well again, and Johnson's looks like he's injured, and Dembele looks like he's injured and stuff. We needed wingers through, so yeah, positive. I'm pleased.
I wish I had a picture of Brendan Rodgers' quote where he said he had 4,700 wingers or whatever it was that we could look back and just put date stamp on it and go, this aged really well.
That was a couple of years ago, but yeah, it's not good enough.
Now, the next one I wanted to bring up, sorry, we're skipping you on that one, Liam, because this one's coming straight to you. Kyogo Furuhashi from Vissel Kobe for about 4.6 million on a 4-year deal. We'll throw to our J-League expert, the guy from Japan, Liam. Come on, give us your take on him.
Right. Well, first of all, I have only seen sporadic highlights of this guy when I watch the weekly J-League highlights show. Yesterday was the first time I sat down and watched a full game where he's played. But you hear in Japan every year there's like the emerging talent or the guy who's going to get the big move to Europe. A couple of years ago it was Kubo when he went to Real Madrid. And last season it was Furuhashi was the one everybody was talking about. And after watching yesterday's game, I can definitely see why. The interesting thing is he scored yesterday. And I'd encourage you to go on YouTube, whatever, and find the highlights. He is primarily a left winger or through the middle second striker. But his goal yesterday came from the inside right, which shows you that he moves all across that whole front line as and when the play dictates. He is the playmaker, potentially, that we've been missing. Now, what I will say, and I've had a few people ask me about this, please don't label this guy the next Nakamura, okay? Because even now, he's still playing at the age of almost 42, but Shunsuke Nakamura, it's still a 50-50 debate between most Japanese football experts. Is it Nakamura or is it Nakata, who is Japan's greatest player of all time? And arguably one of Asia's greatest ever players. Guys like him come along 1 in a million. Okay, we have a very, very good player in Furuhashi, a guy who I fully believe is going to start at Celtic. But do not expect another Nakamura, because that guy was something absolutely special and does not come along very often in world football, let alone at Celtic. But yeah, very positive move, very good. He's got an unpredictability which Celtic lacked, especially last season. I watched games last season, and quite often I said to my dad, this is the sort of game where back in the day you need a Lubo or a Jinky Johnson to do something unpredictable, a wee bit of spark just to win a game. Now, I'm not saying Furuhashi is as good as either of those guys, but he is that type of player. He's unpredictable, he's dynamic, and that is exactly what we've been screaming out for best part of 10 years now, I think.
So
Nakamura was the last player we had who was like that, really.
So you're basically saying he's the Japanese Paddy McCourt. Is that what you're saying?
What I was going to say was he's the sort that, when you're in the stadium, he gets you on your feet. So suddenly just looks like nothing's happening, bang, snap of the fingers, does a turn, takes a touch, whatever, and bang, gets people on their feet, up and about, looking like, okay, what's going to happen here? He's an exciting guy to watch from all the highlights. But then I could be made to look like an exciting footballer on YouTube with good editing, but this guy is like legit.
Good, really good editing, Jarrod.
Really good editing, because I can't even do more than 3 keepy ups. So there you go.
Here's something I was thinking about. Will the Olympics implicate Furuhashi at all?
No, he's 26. He's too old for the Olympics. He's 26.
Oh, you're allowed 3 over age.
Yeah, but he's not one of them.
Is he not one of them? Right, good. Okay. So he can just come straight in then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
good.
Probably probably looking at potentially the first league game would maybe be when he would make his debut, I think.
Yeah.
Because,
Well, he's going to be match fit because he's playing matches. So it's
exactly.
He should get through quarantine.
Quarantine
clearance. Because if he had left to come to Scotland as soon as we signed him, it would be 10 days on that thing. But because it goes down a class or whatever, if he leaves on the weekend or Monday or Tuesday next week, he has to do 5 days in quarantine and then test and release. So you're better off holding off a couple of days on the flight because you'll get him on the training paddock 2-3 days sooner.
Well, and did Abada have to quarantine? I don't think he did. I think he just came in and played, right?
No, because I'm assuming coming from Israel, he'd be fully vaccinated. Because Israel has the highest vaccination rate in the world at the moment. So
they'd be green zone sort of thing.
Yeah.
Paul McGinley's asking, is he like the Japanese Aidan McGeady? Is that right?
Yeah, I was just showing that as you started reading it.
He's more direct than McGeady. To answer that question seriously, he's a more direct player than McGeady. Aye.
Yeah, that was. I watched the highlights and that was the impression I got. But the one thing I can't when I watch the highlights, I can judge what type of player someone is, but I definitely cannot judge quality from highlights. I really need to see them in at least over an hour of a game to see the kind of intangibles, you know.
Aye, and I think that was where I was lucky enough to sit down and watch that game last night before the Celtic game, and it really was an education. Because that's another sort of tangential point I want to raise while I'm here. Since it was announced that we're signing a guy from Japan, a lot of people have been kind of queuing up to mock the J League, saying it's a pub league and whatever. And they're talking about it with the exact same condescending arrogance and stupidity that a lot of people in the English media tend to talk about Scottish football.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel it's saying, if we're going to get uppity when the English turn their noses up at us, we should not treat developing countries like Japan with the same level of disrespect. There's some very, very good footballers here.
You're preaching to the choir, Liam. I said the same thing when Ange was coming in, because the A-League and the J-League, there's a lot of what we call the Euro snobbery, people who only really watch European football thinking that, he can't be any good, he's coming from Asia. But at the end of the day, if those people, like the people in Scotland, as I said when I was on Axon that time, if they get upset when the EPL fans say that Scottish League's a pub league, then they can't turn around and do the same thing to the J-League or to the A-League over here. So, yeah, you're singing from the same hymn sheet as me, Liam. I'm 100% with you on
that. Especially when in Japan, fitness is on a completely different level to what it is in Scotland. I can guarantee that.
I noticed that in some of the highlights I watched him. He's very good at, if he loses the ball, working very hard and getting it back. He's got quite good defensive attributes as well. That's what we needed out of a couple of wingers, to be honest. Yeah, I'm excited by it. What's the problem looking further afield than Europe? I mean, we might be maybe outpriced in the European markets. We might be just outbidded. So we've got to look further afield. And if Asia's a good place to look, and J League and potentially the A League, and we've done quite well with Israel recently. Do you know what I mean? Like
K League in Korea. There you go. You got to love all how original the names are over here.
Yeah.
But seriously, like if we need a right back, I'm sure there's got to be someone in Korea or Japan who would be good enough.
Oh well, I want that those boys from Rennes in. I don't know if we've got that in the run sheet, but I want Soppy and
Soppy and Boy, yeah. Hey, don't you wish your right back was Chadu?
Yeah.
I wanted to see who would sing it. All right, last signing confirmed. Bosun Lawal, or however you say it, from Watford, signed for the Colts team. Made his debut yesterday and scored. Yeah, that's a good one for the future, in my opinion. So, yeah, we'll duck on to our next one. So, we touched on it earlier. Celtic have been confirmed. You're allowed 9,000 fans for the game against Midtjylland. Now, there was a question early on from Paul McGinley as well. What's your team lineup for Tuesday night? His lineup: Barkas, Taylor, Welsh, Shaw, Sorrow, Kelmack, Turnbull, Ayeti, Abada, Monty, Moffat. So I'll go to you first, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
What would your lineup be?
Oh, sorry, I was just looking at. I did see Paul's, and it looks like he's got 2 left backs or no right backs. Yeah, so I think he's maybe unbalanced his team a little bit there. And it wasn't lost on me going into the Preston game that our most experienced defender available was Stephen Welsh, and that kind of concerned me. Because he's played 25, 30 games max, and he's our most experienced centre back at the moment. Taylor being, I guess, our most experienced defender overall. And yeah, I mean that's it. That's what we've got, and I think we'll be lucky to survive a spanking against Midtjylland. To be honest, we might get a draw at home, but we've no chance in Denmark. The only I've not done my research on it, I'm going to say, but the only way we've got a chance is if they've sold the family silver since last year, because they spanked Slavia Prague, who then spanked Sevco, who went to the Europa League semi-final and just narrowly lost out to Arsenal. They drew with Liverpool, Atalanta in the group of death in the Champions League. Midtjylland were absolutely sensational last year, the results they were getting in Europe. So is our kind of leftovers from last year supposed to be good enough to challenge that when our first team from last year would have been laughable contesting against those guys? So my only thing that thinks we might have a chance is if they've had their best players picked off, but I've not done my research on that. Apologies. Yeah, it's going to be Paul's mostly right. It's going to be Taylor. It's going to be Welsh. It's going to be Beaton if he's fit. It's going to be Ralston. It's going to be Sorrow. It's going to be Turnbull. It's going to be Shaw. Probably Montgomery left mid. Probably Abada right. Yeah, he's pretty spot on there. Ayeti up front. It'd be good to have Eddie up there, but I think it's better to dance with the person you're going to keep dancing with down the line. You know.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I can't disagree. I think obviously McGregor is in there probably.
Sorry, I meant to say McGregor. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was reading Paul's. Sorry, I forgot. I got unbalanced.
Yeah, I would also avoid Ralston, but I don't think we've got another bloody choice, to be honest. Yeah, it's going to be Bitton. And it's going to be Welsh, I think. I mean, look, you could probably. I wouldn't be super surprised if Urugidi was in there in front of Bitton. But yeah, as far as everything else goes, I would still play Eddie just to, I think, guaranteed. I think we should do everything we possibly can to guarantee ourselves Europa League football. And if that means beating Midtjylland, we just, even if these players aren't going to be there long term, you just get to that hurdle. And then, so yeah, I'm also expecting a bit of a slog, to be honest. I think it's going to be a difficult tie. So yeah, anything, to be honest, is a positive.
Yeah, so I guess the question really is between Sorrow and Shaw for that third place in midfield.
I would expect Sorrow to be in front of Shaw there, but I see quite positive things with Shaw. I'm quite I'm pleasantly surprised by how quickly he's come in and done a good job. So I think he'll be in and around the team. I don't think he'll be playing every game this season though. I think he'll probably play maybe 15 to 20 games. I think that's probably where he's at.
Liam, what's your take?
I'd pretty much concur with what the guys have been saying. I hope that Eddie plays some part in the game because we're going to need goals, even if he is for the off. If his swan song is getting us guaranteed European football till Christmas, that's a good way for him to sign off. And going out and scoring a couple in a European qualifier might actually add a couple of zeros to his price tag as well. You never know.
Exactly.
That's the motivational talk you give him, and unlikely though it may be if Ange decided to put Ayer in the team. Say to them both, look, you want your move, go out and show why you deserve that move. Go out and show why you're better than this team.
If he's not already away, but yeah.
That's the other thing, yeah.
Exactly what I was going to say. Like for me, you finish your lineup there, Liam, or not?
I was just going to say the midfield question. I would favour Sorrow over Shaw just because the Danes tend to play a more physical game, and Soro strikes me as a more physical player. So I would rather have Soro and McGregor as my two central midfielders there. Because it's going to be a hard shift in any case, and I think Soro has more defensive qualities that we need to try and draw on. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I'm thinking we'll have old Cabbage Hands in goal. So Barkers.
Yeah,
We'll have
100%. Yeah.
Taylor at left back. Right back will be O'Connor. And then we'll play Welsh. Yeah, Welsh and Aya. Because as I was saying, Liam was just saying, I reckon we'll play Aya and say, earn your move if he's still at the club. Otherwise, we've got up until the day before the game. If we sign Starfelt, add him to the list so he could potentially go straight in. Midfield, yeah, it'll be Sorrow, Turnbull, Kelmack. That'd be my midfield there. And then up front would be a Yeti, a Bada, and I don't know. For shits and giggles, I might say we'll chuck Afalabi in. Go 4-3-3. No, but serious. I'll be more likely to see Christie playing out wide right.
It could be Christie. Yeah. I forgot about Christie.
We might have to do something like that, to be honest. That might just be a reality of where we're at as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Abada can play on either side, right? That's what I remember. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. You probably do that.
It'll either be Abada playing left with Christie right, or it'll be Abada on the right, and then you'll probably have Monty playing on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Abada's a right winger, right? Or is he left or right?
Let's find out. Let's click on the team list and see what they say about him.
He's primarily right from.
That's what I thought. Yeah, because he's potentially put Dembele out or put him down a rung, I guess. Especially now that he's injured for the foreseeable. Yeah, I agree with Sean. My expectations they're not that high, to be honest. I think we should give European football and Ange and the Celtic team a bye this season. I think we should just fully focus on winning the league, and that should be where our standard is. I think everything else we're in such a transition right now that we just need to manage our expectations.
Realistically, because Ange came in so late, because we put all our time into the Eddie Howe chase that never happened, I think Ange and the team have got to be, given a bit of a free hit, basically. Like if they don't win through this first stage, especially the fact that we finished second and we're still in the Champions League qualifiers, it hasn't been this way in 10 years. So realistically, if this is to go ahead and if we somehow manage to win through this stage, we're guaranteed Europa League football. Great. That'd be wrapped. But if we don't win this one and we drop down a rung into the next qualifiers, I'm not going to be cracking the shits at Ange and the players. I'm going to be realistic about it here. As I said, there's like 7 more weeks of a transfer window. By the time the window's open, I want our team to be all, hit the ground running to just take over and win the league. That's the priority this year.
So I just seen Paul said Forrest might be out of isolation, and I was expecting he would be, but I was also, because he's not played a single pre-season friendly, I was expecting him to be on the bench, just in response to that comment.
Yeah.
One other thing to consider is we now don't have the away goals rule. So if we draw one each, for example, at Celtic Park on Tuesday, we're not then obliged to score a goal in Denmark where we would have been in the past.
Well, how is that resolved then?
It go to extra time penalties.
All right, okay. Is that just that season that's gone then?
They're starting now.
They announced it about a month ago, I believe.
Yeah. Sorry, it wasn't announced too long ago.
Bloody hell! Right, there you go. So that's.
Can I quote you, Johnny, on oofed?
Yeah. Does that not advantage whoever gets home game first then?
No. So the problem was.
Well, no, the other way around.
The problem was if you're underdog at home in the first game, you would just park the bus.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to concede the away goal.
So that's just going to make games dead boring then, isn't it?
Look, it cuts both ways. The point is it cuts both ways. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're the underdog at home in the first leg, you're going to park the bus. And if you're and it works the other way. Whereas if we draw one each at home in the first leg, we don't have to come out and attack in the away game. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
We can park the bus, whereas we wouldn't have before.
Right. Well, there you go. That'll let's see how that develops, I guess.
An Ange team parking the bus. It's a first for everything, I suppose.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah. A team, not our team. Yeah.
There you go.
It's kind of funny, but anyway. All right, guys. So what we'll do is we'll start to wrap the podcast up. Thanks to everyone who's commented today and has tuned in and everything. So we'll just go around again, do our final thoughts that we do at the end of the pod. So just a statement from each of us. No discussions required. Just whatever. So Liam could mention, comrades and stuff again. Who knows? But it's anything we want. So we'll start with you, Sean.
I'm thinking about some way to implement a father-son rule like we have in Aussie rules for football, because we've recently missed out on the signing of Pierre Van Hooydonk's son, who went to Bologna. And not missed out in the sense we were trying to, but it seems like someone we could have had. Larsson's son as well, and on the books at the moment we have Rudy Vata's son playing for the B team yesterday. So might be something to think about. A father-son rule.
John?
Yes. Mine's not football related. I would like Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson to stop playing astronaut and just fix the world's problems. Thanks. That's it.
Or just go into space and don't come back.
Well, that one, yeah.
On the plus side, though, apparently Bezos has a facility in his spacesuit where he can go to the toilet while he's in the suit. So finally, an Amazon worker can take a piss during their shift.
Yes. or he's also putting into bottles like Amazon workers. That's the other thing.
Well, that's how it ended up for Howard Hughes, wasn't it?
You got a final thought, Liam?
I think that I'm hopeful, but not expectant about the season ahead. We're going to have ups, we're going to have downs, but I like Ange's style. He's a no-nonsense guy. He wants to set up an attacking team. He is making signings that clearly he wants to sign, which is another good break from previous regimes, shall we say. And I think don't everybody start getting, throwing the toys out the pram if we lose to Midtjylland, because I think we all expect that's what's going to happen, even though we hope it won't. The priority this season is putting a team on the park that can beat Rangers and get that league title back where it should be. And that is all that really matters this year. To me, anyway.
It's just 2 in a row, Liam, where you've kind of grabbed part of what I was going to say because you did it last week. But you said it's going to be a roller coaster. So my final thought was, going into the season, it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. It's going to have the ups and downs and everything. So just for a different spin because of what Liam said, in the words of Ronan Keating, life is a roller coaster. You just got to ride it.
Oh, dear.
Terrible. Anyway, all right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you give us a follow on our Facebook group and our page, Celtic Down on Twitter and Instagram. Hail, everyone.
Hail.
Hail.